I remember when I was 14, I was trying to play a basketball game with these group of guys from middle school. And sooner rather than later, as the weather literally became gloomy and it started raining, it was clear that they didn't accept me. They started getting annoyed that I didn't know how to play basketball. And one of the guys, we'll just call him Alex, literally told me I should get out of there. He literally said, dude, you don't know what you're doing. Why are you here? Like, honestly, you should just leave. And on his face, there was like this sort of like half smile, half look of pity where he was smiling because the power of telling somebody to leave and pushing them off always feels good, right? Like, I've honestly done that myself because, like, for anybody to say they've never done a bad thing is just so disingenuous. But he also had this look of pity because it felt like there was another part of him that was also like, yo, like, I can tell like this kid is going through something hard. Like, why am I doing this, right? And it just resulted in this weird, like, kind of like smirk, but kind of holding back. And I remember leaving the basketball court and it started raining. And I think my 14-year-old version of myself finally saw for the first time the epitome of human selfishness, right? And it terrified me. It terrified me that people don't care. Because when I was leaving that basketball yard, they still played ball. Nobody bothered to message me and ask how I was doing, right? And that was when I realized, I think that was the first time I fully comprehended that nobody cares about you. And I think throughout high school, I was so desperate to look for evidence that proved me wrong. Even my ex best friend once told me, Mehdi, you always try to find the silver lining of things. You're always trying to turn every negative into a positive. And I thought that was a compliment back when I first received it, but really what he was essentially telling me was the fact that I didn't know how to sit with my own negative emotions. I was always suppressing them, I was always running away from them. And high school is the epitome of the social hierarchy, right? Like the first high school I went to in Queens, which was a very poorly funded school, let's just say that. People didn't like each other, they fist fought each other, right? And the next year, when I transferred to a school that was way more posh, like way more like chic and like upper middle class, there was a much more subtle social hierarchy. People knew who the cool girls were. People knew the guys who they were supposed to hang out with in high school. People knew who the nerds were. And believe me, I was so weird and so out of touch with everybody that I was barely clinging onto the nerds. Like, trust me on that, right? And I further realized in high school, like, nobody really cares. It is a competition of social hierarchy. It is a competition of who's the coolest, who's the most popular, who has the most power. And I think for so many years, I was in such denial of human nature in the sense that I almost drove myself insane. I kept suppressing all my pain, all my resentment until it literally got the better of me. Like, I remember one day after suppressing another incident that happened to me, my nervous system was literally fighting me at that point. Like, imagine your body, imagine your nervous system rejected you so much so because, like, it, you're not processing anything, right? And I think the reason I make this video a few years later is because I've completely transformed my life in this regard, right? I ended up going to college, ended up having so many different friend groups, still to this day, constantly get invited to events, constantly get invited to dinners. And I don't say that to humble brag. I really don't. I say that to provide a contrast that I've really been there in like the deep dark corner of the internet, except replace the internet with real life. And I've also been the star of the show. Like I've occupied both spots. And there's something called intersectional theory where, like, when somebody is also in like the fringes of society, they can better understand where that society is coming from, right? So I say that to provide a perspective that it is actually an amazing thing people don't care. It is actually a beautiful thing that people are not that concerned about your life the way you think they are. And I think the reason I realized this was through making videos. Like, over the last 2 months, I got back on Instagram Reels, I got back on making videos, and I was terrified because on Instagram, that contains everybody from high school, it contains everybody from college, it contains everybody from networking events, like everybody is there, right? And I was freaking myself out because I didn't know like what people would say, what people would think about me. Like, my inner critic was going freaking crazy, right? And my mentor at the time, who I literally had to work through those issues of like self identity, self perception, it was this slow realization that nobody cares. Like, when I post that reel, if somebody likes it, they'll watch it, they might comment, and if they don't like it, they're gonna literally scroll to another reel and keep their day moving. Like, in the frame of 10 to 15 seconds, people are gonna move on with their lives. And that was actually such a beautiful side of this that I never realized during my teenage years. Because in my teenage years, I was always so bitter. I was always so resentful that people didn't care. People weren't empathetic. People wouldn't go out their way to help somebody. But on the bright side, that also means most people are not going to bother you the way you think they are, right? Most people are not there to sabotage your plans the way your brain might perceive them to, right? And that kind of allows you a sort of autonomy. Like, yes, you have that freedom, but now you have responsibility too, because now you can't be a victim, right? You can't just go and blame people for your problems. But if you're willing to see it for what it is and embrace the fact that people don't care, your life could get a lot better. And I think 2 months later of this journey of like making videos and content online, I think there's a type of liberation I feel making videos that get way less likes than my posts. Because before I made videos, I would make a post once every 6 months. It would get a lot of likes, it would get a lot of comments, but there was always fear. There was always fear of losing the image. There was always fear of losing people's like admiration and respect and their fondness of me. Versus with these videos, they get way less likes now. But there is a liberation that is felt not caring about the likes, not caring about the comments, not caring what that person thinks about you because you're being true to yourself. And I don't know. I just think a lot of us we get very disillusioned with people not caring. I know a lot of YouTube videos where I watch other people talk about the greediness and selfishness of human nature, and it's true. Humans are very selfish. People are very greedy. I have been there. I have done that. I have been very too self-centered in my own needs and not really cared about other people's needs, and I still do it to a day. But I think when you can realize those traits can actually work in your favor in the sense that people are so concerned about their own lives that they don't really have time for you like that. It gives you permission. It gives you room to breathe and realize, wow, there isn't this insane internal pressure that I always have to follow every time I want to do something that is aligned to myself. Like again, you post that video, it doesn't do well. Guess what? People are gonna look at it, maybe have a chuckle and move on with their lives, right? There's beauty in that because when you realize you were never tethered to their approval, you never needed their approval to survive or even thrive, just the autonomy that comes with it is surreal. And I think, it's taken me 26 years living on this planet to really realize, yeah, people don't care. People don't care about you, but it's actually the best thing ever. It will give you permission, it will give you room to breathe, it will give you room to try and fail and really become the person you want to become. Only if you choose to see it that way. Because if you see it like how 16-year-old Mahdi saw it as this is the most bitter, evil, miserable thing, it's going to crush you. It's going to crush you. But if you can see it as a room of opportunity to explore and try and give yourself permission to fail, even in the face of uncertainty, you're going to be free. You're going to be as free as a bird. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. If you appreciated this video, don't like, don't comment, don't subscribe. I'm just here to create an authentic connection with you. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one.